All right, today's lesson is comparing fractions. Now, last time we talked about what does a whole mean, a number one. If you have one complete unit of something, then all the parts are there. So 8 out of 8 sections or 4 out of 4 sections. But we said when we're comparing fractions to each other, we cannot compare two different kinds of items. They need to be the same. So we're comparing a pizza with a pizza, or a cookie with a cookie, or a chocolate bar with a chocolate bar, and the size of the item should be the same. All right, so we're going to compare some fractions. We're going to use something called fraction strips. So make sure you have a pencil and a paper ready. Pause the video and get set up if you are not quite ready. All right, so when comparing fraction strips, we are going to draw some strips, but we are going to make sure that they look like they are the same length. So can you draw two long, skinny rectangles like that? Pause the video if you need to. All right, so this is a great one for colors today. We will be using colors in a minute. But let's just take a look. We're going to divide this first fraction strip in half. I think I can do a better job of that. Okay, so that looks like half. And we are going to divide the second fraction strip into half, but then into quarters. All right, so in that first fraction strip, let's color in one of the halves. You can choose whatever color you like. And then we're going to write our fraction beside it. So there are two sections, and we have colored in one of them. Okay, on the next fraction strip, I would like you to color in 3 of the sections, any 3, and draw your fraction. Pause until you have finished that. All right, so coloring in 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to draw the fraction beside. There are 4 possible sections, and 3 of them are colored. So if we had to say which fraction was bigger, 1/2 or 3/4. Can you say those words with me? 1/2, 3/4, and the other way to say that is 3/4. Then how would we make a fraction sentence? So let's just look. Which one has more color? Well, the 3/4 one has more color than the 1/2. So that is a bigger fraction. So let's write the fraction sentence right here. 3/4 is greater than 1/2. All right, let's take a look at another one. Let's do number 2. And again, you're going to draw 2 long, skinny fraction strips. The first one we're going to divide into 3 equal sections. And the second one we're going to divide in half. All right, I would like you to color 2 of the sections in the first one and 1 of the sections in the second one. So 2 of the sections in the first one, 1 of the sections in the second one. And I want you to write your fractions beside. So pause the video until you've completed that. All right, I wanted you to color 2 of the fractions in the first one. There we go. And there are 3 sections. That goes on the bottom. That's the denominator. 2 of them are colored. That goes on the top. That's the numerator. All right, in the second one, I wanted you to color 1 of the sections. And then write the fraction beside. So 2 sections altogether, 1 section is colored. So if we look at that now, we want to write a fraction sentence that compares which fraction is bigger, which fraction is smaller. So look at which fraction takes up more room, which one has more color. Well, I think this one has more color than this one. So 2/3 is greater than 1/2. So we have compared our fractions using fraction strips, and now we're writing our fraction sentence right there. All right, number 3. Again, I would like you to draw 2 fraction strips. And I would like you to draw in the first one, so you're going to have to divide it into sections and then color it in. Any color you like. The first one I want you to do as a 1/3. So figure out how you're going to make 3 sections and color in the one. And the second one, I want you to color in 2/4 or 2/4. So pause the video until you've drawn the sections and colored them in. Okay, this first one should be 3 sections. The second one should have 4 sections. Okay. Now for coloring, we're supposed to color in 1 of the 3. And we are supposed to color in 2 of the 4. Now I want you to take a minute, and on the side, I want you to do your fraction sentence where you're comparing. So you're going to put the bigger fraction first, and then you're going to put greater than, and you're going to put the smaller fraction next. Pause your video. Okay, now the purple one obviously takes up more room and is bigger than the green one. So we're going to start with 2/4 or 2/4 is greater than 1/3. Okay, number 4, we're going to do something a little bit trickier now. We're going to try to make more sections on our fraction strips, which is a bit tricky. All right, we're going to divide each of them in half. And then we're going to divide each of them in half again. And the top one, we're going to divide all of those in half again. So we should have 4 sections on the bottom and 8 sections on the top. Here are the fractions that I would like you to color in. 7/8, 3/4. So pause the video and color those in. All right, if you colored this first one, you should have 7 of the sections colored in. And the next one should have 3 of the sections colored in. So let's compare. Which one is bigger? Which one has more color, takes up more space on the fraction strip? So I'd like you to pause the video and I'd like you to write your fraction sentence using your greater than sign. All right, so 7/8 takes up more room. We can see it's actually bigger here if we go like this. So 7/8, say 7/8 is greater than 3/4. So when we're comparing fractions, we draw them out until you know what that looks like in your mind without drawing them. So right now we're just beginning. Fractions that have like 1/2 are really easy to visualize in your mind, but other fractions are not so easy. So that's why we're drawing them out right now. Okay, number 5. This time we're going to draw 3 fraction strips. And I would like you to draw the following. 1/2, so you're going to divide that into 2 parts. This one is going to be 2/4 or 2/4, And this one is going to be 2/3. And thirds is a little bit trickier to draw, so take your time with that one. Pause the video until you're finished drawing and coloring all of those. All right, this one should have been divided right down the middle. For this one, we divide it right down the middle and then down the middle again. So 4 sections. This one a little bit trickier. 3 sections. All right, so if you colored in, whoops, I don't want that color. If you colored in one of those sections, you have 1/2. If you colored in 2 of these sections, you have 2/4 or 2/4. If you colored in 2 of these sections, you have 2/3. Okay, and here is your homework. So what I would like you to do is beside A, I want you to write the name of, so write the fraction that is the biggest. Okay, so write that right there, the biggest fraction out of those 3. And B, I want you to write the fractions that are the same or equal. There's a special word that we have for this. When we're talking about fractions that are the same or equal, they're called equivalent fractions. So you need to tell me the name of the 2 fractions that are the same. Number 6. And this is your last piece of homework on this one. All right, your job is to draw 2 fraction strips, and one is going to be 1/2. Now, here is the tricky question. You need to draw another fraction that is equal to 1/2. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to number 5 and take a look at that. How did we have 2 fractions that were equal? Well, they took up the same amount of space. They had the same amount of color. So figure out a way that you could divide this one. You cannot have a 2 there again. You cannot do that. But you could have another number there, but it has to be the same amount of color and it has to take up the same amount of space. So figure out what other fraction you could draw that would be equal to 1/2, or equivalent is the word we're looking for. Okay, and there's a lot of possibilities for this one. Okay, so that's your last bit of homework on that today.